my Zoom.
It might have tried to sign her in as your Zoom.
I bet that's what it is.
There's her voice.
Could be. All right. Well,
I can-
Tanya, glad you're with us.
I can go back. I can try to fix it.
to sign her in as your. This is going to be a problem with YouTube Live running and my computer. All right. So I'm going to just, okay, I think we should be good now. We should not get any feedback from me. Okay, no feedback from YouTube Live. Good. Hey, technology is finally settling down, I think. Sorry about that for interrupting the roll call and all, but we are now recording and we are now YouTube Live. So we should be good to go.
Do we have any public participation?
Just staff members here. That's it. So no.
Approval of the minutes of the May 2021 regular meeting.
I'll second.
So that,
Karen,
Yes.
Mark's my here. Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
and Kathleen.
Yes. Any correspondence? Lynn?
just a little bit. So we have Public Library Fund for June. Revenues are still up. Part of it is due to the delay in the collection of the personal income tax. And the state's fiscal year, which actually ends the end of June, they are showing a little more than 5% above revenue estimates. Now, of course, what you keep hearing is that, oh, the economy is going great and money is, okay, well, the bubble's going to burst at some point here. So we still need to proceed with caution when it comes to, in terms of how we run our budget, because this will not last forever. And then the only other big news really is on the state budget front. Ohio Library Council has let us know that the Senate did their version of the budget bill, and they did include libraries funding at 1.7% of the general revenue fund, which is where we're at right now. But of course, what happens now is it's actually been assigned to conference committee, and those members have been identified. I think that tomorrow they're supposed to get new projections from the Office of Budget and Management, so they can then start reconciling the Senate version and the House version. And basically, once they come up with something, it goes back to the House and the Senate for a vote, but they cannot do any more amendments. It's either they pass it or they don't pass it. And they are supposed to be doing this before the end of the day, June 30th, because July 1 starts the new fiscal year. So there's going to be a lot of activity in the next couple of weeks as they figure this out. A couple of other things that showed up in the Senate version include a limit on government-owned broadband networks. And how that impacts libraries is that Oakland, which provides our internet service to our Georgetown branch, and that's where we then dovetail off for the branches, that is a government-owned broadband service. But Oakland doesn't appear to be impacted by whatever the Senate did. However, it could impact public libraries loaning Wi-Fi hotspots. So OLC is working really hard to help educate them about what their language could end up doing, so that it doesn't impact it that way. But it's also in conflict with the provisions of that last federal stimulus package, which gave so much support for broadband, both to individual, residents and citizens, and also some money coming to potentially to public libraries. So don't be surprised if you hear confusing things about that part. They have to work that out. And in the meantime, of course, Ohio has been working on what they call a digital resource finder. And basically that will be a one-stop shop so that people can locate free Wi-Fi in parking lots, if public libraries loan Wi-Fi hotspots. And so they're building this at the state level so that people can easily access broadband, and yet the Senate has put something in the budget that limits the possibility of those things. So again, a little bit of conflict there. And then another thing that impacts public libraries is the COVID home test kits, which we were allowed to distribute from here free of charge. It has been rolled out that the expiration dates on those have actually been extended for 3 months. So if we do have them, they're still good for 3 months beyond whatever the date is on the package. But as you might well expect, there's been a kind of a lull in the demand for that. It may increase again. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but just so you know, that's part of what goes on. And in other Ohio Library Council news, they have verified that they're going to hold the in-person annual convention. They obviously did not do that last year. It's going to be in Columbus in October 13th through 15th. They have not actually opened the registration, but they have set aside a block of rooms. You can already reserve a room in the hotel connected to the convention center. Quickly looking, I don't think there's anything else that's happened since the last board meeting from OLC that I haven't already mentioned in terms of the budget information. There is on Monday afternoon, OLC is holding a webinar at 1 o'clock for library directors so that we can get the most current information about what's going on with the budget.
See somebody running.
Is Mark coming? No, the door it's unlocked. The door is unlocked.
Does the Senate version address the issue of the Senate doesn't want the government competing with public or private industry? Is that what that is about?
That is the intent of of that initiative, but I think that they have, while I can understand them wanting to cut out that portion, it was roughly $2 billion. I don't remember how much in the state budget that was going to be set aside for grants that could be used to build out to underserved communities. But my understanding of that was that the money was going to go to private providers working with local communities to build that infrastructure. So I'm not really sure how what they might be intending to do is actually playing out. Does anybody else have any additional information on that? Okay, well, that's all the correspondence I have.
Sorry.
Do you want to wrap somebody?
I thought she was gonna hit me with
apologize.
No.
That's okay.
We've been kind of frazzled.
Yes, we've had technology issues and other things going on, so.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. On to financial reports and Miss Sarah.
Okay. Appropriation summaries, comparing April to May. We were very comparable, less than $400 difference. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So salaries for the month of May were at $55,721, down about $867 from April. Employee fringe benefits, $13,184. Those were down about $3,000. Purchase and contract services, $15,484, down about $775. Library material and information and supplies, $19,655, and then just $38. That library materials was up about $6,000, which offset all the other things.
I suspect that might be because we actually have an in-person summer reading program, and that might
Oh, yeah.
reflect some of the payments for
Oh,
things
yeah.
we ordered for that.
Yeah, for sure. Month-to-date expenditures, page 4 of that report. Total month-to-date expenditures was $110,037.10, $590 less than April, so super close. Bank reconciliation report, our receipts for the month of May, $85,877. Payments, $114,970. We did have some adjustments in the month of May, 4,827. Those were an E-rate reimbursement and some Friends adjustments. Let's see, outstanding payments. I have 3 outstanding payments from the month of May. Those were just the structured employee benefits. Everything else has been cashed. The general fund cash flow report is the next report. Looking at the actual May column, our PLF for the month of May was $77,839. Other receipts were just $932. So the total revenue for the month of May was $78,771. Let's see, total expenditures was $104,084.80. Cash summary by fund report, total expenditures. This total includes all the funds, $110,037.10. Next is the May 2021 expenditure reconciliation Excel spreadsheet. That's where everything's broken out. Payments, $42,491. Our 2 payrolls for May 14th was $26,831. For that May 28th payroll, $29,431. We had a couple extra days in that pay period. That's why it's a little bit bigger than the 14th. OPERS, $7,876. Medicare board share was $798. Health insurance for the board was $4,384. Our local taxes, our health insurance out for our employee health brought our total expenditures to $110,037. Payment listing. Any questions about any of those payments? At the top, you'll see some Friends reimbursements and that time order cable. That is the E-rate reimbursement. You'll see all those adjustments I did. Any questions about payments? Pretty all standard.
And the People's Bank, just as a reminder, is the credit card,
Yeah.
the bank we paid the credit card payment to.
So I did adjustments based on a People's Bank PO.
But it could have been things purchased from Amazon or Oriental Trading or who knows what, so.
Okay.
Any questions for Miss Sarah?
Questions for Sarah?
Questions, comments, concerns?
All right, I'm gonna need a motion to accept the financial investment reports, approve paid bills, and accept donations.
I move.
I'll
Harold got that one.
Take your pick.
have a second, Harold. I already wrote it down too.
Okay, Sue and Harold.
Mark,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
and Kathleen.
Okay,
Oh.
I'm gonna need a motion to approve the 2019-2020 audit report, which should be as one of your attachments or enclosures.
Yes. Do you want
I'll move.
copy?
Oh, I have it.
Okay,
Sue, okay.
Exactly.
Sue and then Kathleen.
Looks like a very good report.
Oh, yeah.
I was happy with
Yeah,
that.
what we really like to see is that no exceptions,
Right.
amounts
Yeah.
agreed,
Good
no
job.
exceptions, amounts agreed.
That was your first one already.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Half of 19 and then all of 20, especially with the crazy year of 2020. So,
Yes.
let's see. Mark,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
and Kathleen.
Did
All right.
anyone have any questions about that or anything, or no, other than it was, yeah, it was
was
good.
good.
And it was the agreed upon procedures, so it was not the full-blown huge audit, but the fact that it included those federal funds that we got from the stimulus, I was pretty proud of our fiscal team for handling that.
Isn't life just one big audit anyway?
Yes, life is one big audit.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. On to the librarian's report, which is going to be building report and statistics.
Yes. So you did get a building report and some pictures in your packets of some fun things, but boy, you should be looking forward to next month because they've already been doing some really exciting stuff with summer reading program as well. Any questions about any of the things that appeared on the building report, or would any of the managers like to point out something that was really special about it, what they did in May?
So if Heather's here in person, does that mean we get to pick on
Heather, well, I told her, Heather, that since that she is here in person, that she may be the one who gets the brunt of it as Amber is going, Amber is looking down and.
No, I actually did want to mention that the unique note about the Fayetteville Perry Library and the Celebration of Life ceremony is really neat. If you happen to see that on our reports.
That is, that the library has made such an impact on someone that, you know, it's mentioned, yes. That is cool.
I had a question for Heather.
Mark has a question for Heather.
All right, so in your report, it said, you know, we had our first in-person family events and stuff. So I'm just curious, what's it been like since the world reopened?
So the question was, since there was the first in-person event, what's it been like in the library since world has opened up?
Okay, so our first, can you hear me, Amber? All right.
Okay.
So our first family night was the Build-A-Zoo. So you've seen pictures of it. It was not our typical kickoff party. I told Karen we had about almost 50 people that came, and they were kind of spread out. So we had some crafts over here, and we had the Build-A-Zoo over here, and we had food over here. But we were really happy because we got to see kids and we got to see families. Last night was our first summer reading program family night. We had 70 people.
70 people.
70, and it wasn't like Fayetteville and Sardinia and Georgetown have all these awesome programs with all these live animals and all. We did tie-dyeing t-shirts and screen printing backpacks, and it was insane, and they loved it, and the kids were so excited. And there was adults that came because they wanted to screen or they wanted to tie-dye, so it was fun. It was great. It was insane. They were climbing the walls in the library and had 1,000 questions. And I actually wasn't going to work last night. I was like, I feel like I need to be here tonight. And then I was like, I am really glad I'm here. And Adrian was like, oh, thank you for being here. And I was like, I'll be here.
Yep.
So everything's back to normal.
Everything's back to normal.
It's close.
Yes, it is close.
Okay.
I can share that Sardinia had their first family night Monday, and Fayetteville's was tonight, and both of them had approximately 50 in attendance. So
That's great. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
And there was actually just this morning, Heather forwarded me an email message from a family who had been to the Sardinia. It was the Birds of Prey that came, and then had a question about Mount Orb's tie-dyeing program. And in the course of that discussion, just was very positive and complimentary about the library being open and things being able to go and do things again. And so it was nice.
Final comment was thank you for all that you do for our community.
Yes, thank you for all that you do for our community. So yeah, it's good to hear. Good to hear that kind of thing. Yeah. Moving on to things that's not so as exciting as birds of prey and tie dyeing. We can talk about numbers for just a minute. I was actually looking at May's numbers as compared to March's numbers, because in March we still had some restrictions going, and it was later in May that things really opened up, but we had already started loosening programs and that kind of thing that were still within regulations, but we were doing things a little bit more back to normal in May in the libraries. And between March and May, we saw library visits in March, for example. In May, they were 4,450 roughly actual walk-ins, and it was under 3,000 library visits in March. So that's a significant increase in actual people coming in the doors. And same thing with the number of meeting room people using the meeting room, actually going into the meeting room. In May it was 370, and in March it was 116. So what they're feeling in the libraries is being borne out by the numbers, and it'll be interesting to see the June, July numbers because of summer reading program. Any questions about anything there? I think the only other thing is, you see some large numbers in the discards, but that reflects what was taken out in preparation for the spring book sales. So if those raised any red flags, that's what that was about.
Back to the Sardinia gutters, should we look at leaf guards in some of our buildings?
Oh, that was, yeah.
We certainly, I can make a note of it and pass that along. I'm thinking, and this is just me and my memory, which I wouldn't always put too much stock in. But I'm thinking that we had that conversation with Keith at some point, and there was, in some buildings, there's some reason not to be doing it because of the way the buildings are actually structured. So, but I'm making a note here. Gutter guards. Okay, we'll look into that.
Anything? Okay. Sorry, Harold.
Harold, you're on mute. Were you going to say anything else?
No, I just thought maybe the leaf guards do work well, unless there's some structural reason for them not to work.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, is that there might be some, particularly Georgetown, that there are always unique things going on in Georgetown. Speaking of which, if you want me to go on to announcements, we'll.
What a great segue.
Yes, what a
How
great
about
segue.
announcements?
So facilities wise, because I usually lead with facilities, we did have some water issues in Georgetown in the last couple of weeks, not all because of rain, mind you, but there was a broken commode that just ended up, doing some water spillage into some hallways, and but that was cleaned up between I don't know why Heather got the call before I did, but she said, yep, send our custodial staff or our custodial contractor to go and get that cleaned, which was great. I don't know if there's been follow-up yet on the leaks in the staff workroom area. Tanya, I don't know if you've got any more news about that.
No, I'm still waiting for Keith to assess what exactly is going on. I don't know where the water is coming from that was outside of the staff restroom. That's new, and we haven't had that since the new roof was put on. The other two leaks that are upstairs by the other two windows in the adult section of the library, those two are old issues, and I assume that the caulking needs to be redone around those areas. It's the same issue we had last year.
Okay. Yeah, the third hand information that I got after I'd been through, I don't know how many channels, we couldn't quite pinpoint exactly where the water in the staff area was. But now that you say that it was near the staff restroom, that is near the, what's the word I'm looking for, people, where the last edition was put on. So the media, that's that 1989 into 1998 spot. So that would be something to look into. So, well, good. We'll keep on, Keith, about that. The HVAC replacement that you all approved last month, that's all been taken care of. That's done. Yay. And the couple of parking lot lights, what we've been doing, rather than just replacing bulbs and whatever in the parking lot lights, we've been converting them to LED as they've been going, because it seemed like we were paying $500 every time a bulb had to be, changed. And it's only $700 to replace it with a brand new LED fixture, which will last a decade, 12 years. So, well, yes, a long time. So we're going through that process. And as far as community initiatives and that kind of thing, I want you all to know that Tanya and Tanya and Amber were both on vacation last week, so I did not ask them to have anything ready to prepare to talk to the board about. So if you are going to pick on someone, it's going to have to be Heather pretty much this month. But I'll just tell you that in terms of a big thing that just happened at the chamber was we had our golf outing last Friday. Of course, we couldn't do it in 2020. And we made just under $12,500, and that's more that's ever been made in the golf outings. I think the timing was just right. People wanted to get out and do things together, and the weather was right. So some good news there. And I think Heather had a little update because there was a grit meeting as well that took place recently.
The actually countywide grit meeting was last Tuesday evening, and it was just a really good opportunity to get people from the community of Brown County together to try to bring back grit to Brown County, because when they first started, COVID hit, and there was a lot of people that was interested, but there was not, it just kind of got dropped. And it was a good chance to tell them, update people what is really going on with grit right now and the movement that is happening in other counties, and hope that we can have more buy-in in Brown County. And I think it was a really good opportunity to connect with people that could share the message and try to connect other people, and hopefully we'll have more buy-in for the youth, because I think it's going to be, they're seeing a lot of, I think, did they say in Adams County that all the kids have been assessed?
I believe that in the Adams County schools, they have assessed at least all of the juniors and seniors have all been done. Yes.
And they were able to do training this summer, and they have like 4 different avenues that the kids could get involved in, and they're coming out of it with certifications and certificates, and already kind of getting ready for the workforce at their ages of juniors and seniors. And I think that once we get the right people connected together, it will take off in Brown County.
And just to kind of regroup in grit, it was early 2019, I believe, when the first meeting that I went to, and this is growing rural independence together through jobs. And so it's about job development, but it's also about workforce development and making both of those pieces work so that people can find jobs that are that fit who they are and what their aptitudes are, but also be here, and they don't have to go to other states or to Cincinnati to do them. And there is an aptitude assessment that goes along with this. And the idea was to first target kids in high school because they need to make plans for what they're going to do after high school. And it was well received in some counties, but the timing I don't think was quite right for Brown County. And then of course, the person who was leading it in our county retired. So there was a kind of a drop in momentum. And so we're really kind of kickstarting it again. And it was a good, I think, cross section of people who were at the meeting on the 8th. And I hope that it will gain some momentum again, because it could, I think that the way that they help people understand this is if you ask yourselves whether 10 students getting out of high school can go into jobs that pay $40,000 a year that are here, how would that change what your community looks like? If they're living here, they're working here, they're buying here. So that's really kind of the idea is to make that kind of incremental change, so.
And the library's main role in this so far is educating people about it, educating patrons and people that are looking for jobs, because they have an adult side of it too,
Yes.
where they have them go through the assessment and they have matched them with remote work.
Yes, remote work
and they've
opportunities.
given them
Yes.
equipment and all that to be able to work from home. And I think that it's a really good thing for Brown County. We could.
If we can get things rolling. So since it does serve both the youth prior to leaving high school, and it also will serve adults as well, it really is anyone. So if you know of any, even if people are at the point in their lives where they are thinking about career changes, doing this assessment, and Ohio Means Jobs is actually handling all of that. And they have a lot of funding pools so that if people need training or transportation or help with attire to wear in the workplace, I mean, they've got all kinds of pots of money to help people. So it's complex though. It's hard to understand. And so people don't well, what is this and how is it really going to help? But we need to keep working on it. Not to just bypass Amber and Tanya. So if you really have something you'd like to say, I don't want to skip over you. Yeah, Amber's going, no. Tanya's going, crickets. Okay, so just a quick update on the how we're doing our operations. I think at the last meeting, we had said, we have this up until June 2nd, we have this one little how we're supposed to behave or conduct our business. And then June 2nd is when the governor opened everything up again. So I just wanted to reaffirm that what we are saying to the public is we are encouraging masks for anyone who is not vaccinated or who is at high risk, because we are a public entity. We've got people coming in and out, and we want to make sure that we're promoting health and safety and at the same time reducing any potential liability, right, Mr. Insurance Guy? That is correct. So that's our official stance, and that's what you'll see on the doors until such time as it changes, because you can see I put a question mark. When does this end? Who knows when this ends or changes, right? So we've already talked about summer reading program. I did want to just let you know that, and I wish I'd brought it with me. So we used to have these little cell phones. We had one for each branch and one that I used. They were just the little itty bitty ones that had a slider and you could text, and it was just a talk and text, and it was limited minutes and limited shared minutes and limited texting, because, I felt they were kind of extras, but we also used them for when power went out and whatever else went on in our branches, because I don't feel, there, Amber is being Vanna White. There we go. Yes. Look, slide it. See the little keyboard there? Yes. Woohoo. All right. Thank you, Amber, for that lovely display. But we got them at a time when E-rate was actually providing some kind of a discount for voice services. And then, of course, that discount went away, but it was good to have them. And I feel pretty strongly about people being able to keep their personal devices separate from work because we are a public entity. So I'm trying to encourage that and separate things out. Well, it turns out that our Wi-Fi hotspot provider, T-Mobile, had a great deal where we could get staff cell phones that are 5G smartphones, unlimited talk, text, and data for almost the exact same price as we were paying for those cute little sliders. And there, Amber's got one, yes, going there. And so we have upgraded, and now thank you for those audio visuals. That's great. But now we have more of an ability, so people don't have to use their own personal phones for taking pictures of events and posting them. And we have more of ability to actually be very timely with our postings to social media and that kind of thing. So I just wanted you to know that we are slowly adopting newer technologies for use for administrative uses as well. A couple of new things, and timing is everything here. This is number 7 on your announcements list. So we have some funding opportunities that are dropping in our lap. And of course, this is right when Lynn is really trying to go on vacation and take a vacation. But it is what it is because you don't leave money on the table when you can get it. So the things that you may have heard about are B and C, the Emergency Connectivity Fund, and C is ARPA money that actually came to the state and is for library purposes. So it's being rolled out from the state library. But in both cases, you have to fill out applications. So the Emergency Connectivity Fund, you can see there I've noted we could potentially get a whole year's worth of those Wi-Fi hotspots that we loan covered at 100%. The whole, that would be great. You told me how much is the monthly bill?
Close to 1,400.
And that's for 60 hotspots
Yeah.
that we loan out. So $1,400 times 12 months. That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So, and what they're doing is, you've heard me talk for years about the E-rate program, and it's not an E-rate thing because you don't have to put out to bid and you don't get only a percentage of the money. Instead, you just tell them, this is what we've got. This is, here are the details, here's the contract, and they'll fund it at 100%. But they'll fund it until the money runs out, and if every library and school across the country is applying for it, who knows how long the money will last. But at least they're using that E-rate portal, so we know how the forms work and we can, get that in there. That should be a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. And they just announced yesterday, I think it was, that the window for putting in your applications opens up on the 29th of June. So I'll be doing that while I'm on vacation, or else I'll leave everything so that Heather can try it if she wants to. Yeah, ha ha, the ARPA money, the outreach grant, that's where, if you remember Guiding Ohio Online, okay, we had to apply for that. It was LSTA money. That's basically the way they're handling this ARPA money, is you have to apply through the state. The big thing is there's no local match. So whatever you apply for, they give you all of that money, but it is federal money, so you can't fund personnel. They don't want you to have things that you could get through E-rate. They want this to be about outreach. And I haven't read the, 15-page explanation and definitions and all of that quite yet about exactly what we'll apply for. But however we can do that, basically meeting patrons where they are in this new mode of operating is what we can include. And it could be anywhere from $5,000 to, I think, more than $100,000 that we could ask for. So, but again, if every public library is eligible to do that, and county law libraries are also eligible to apply for this, we may be fighting for dollars. So, and then another out of the blue, Monday, I got a message from Millicron, Millicron here, Mount Orab, and also Batavia. Their charitable giving committee wants to talk about doing something for libraries. So by golly, I jumped right on that and said, yeah, when would you like to talk? So next week, sometime one of those mornings, we'll talk with them. I threw out some ideas, and unfortunately, they really liked the hotspot lending idea, but of course, we've already got that covered under this ECF. So I'm going to have to be creative about guiding them in another direction so that we don't lose that. So lots of possibilities out there. And then I mentioned the delivery service is changing, and you all approved an amount that was near $16,000, but they came back and said, oh, by the way, some of the stimulus money we're going to put towards giving you all a discount the first year. So next year is actually $11,162.49. So just kind of nice that we're saving money in some unanticipated places. And then we just got notice from the county auditor that we will be submitting the budget to them as usual, but they do not intend to have libraries meet with them. They feel as though they have seen it, they know the story, and if they see anything that they think warrants a change in the percentage, then they will have us come and present to them, and then they'll make a decision after that.
That makes sense.
It makes sense in some ways, and particularly coming off of this wacky year we've been, I'm thinking, okay, stability is a good thing. But at the same time, it's really going to be important for us not so much in the budget that you've already approved, but in the annual report that I make and send to them, that they really see how things have changed and what we are doing that is different and way, I think, above and beyond what other library systems are doing. So hopefully that will be the beginning of that discussion where we maybe change their minds a little bit about having us come and talk to them. So just
Allison is still their director.
Allison is still at Union Township Public Library, correct? And I had reached out to Jill Hall myself about this, just to kind of say, hey, I know the first Monday or second Monday in September is when, normally we'd meet, but, are we going to do, are you going to do the library separate? What's, I'd like to plan for when I need to set aside time. And that's when she responded to me that they were just going to approach it this other way. So, and that she'd let Allison know, so we're all on the same page. So I said, okay, cool. That's it. A lot of stuff going on.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Do we have any committee reports? Nope. All right. On to number 6, Georgetown Facility Project Public Survey Proposals.
Okay. So you have 2 in your packets, one from Holy Cow Consulting and one from Orange Boy. Both pretty unique names for companies, I would say.
Yes.
In full disclosure, we have used Holy Cow in the past. I dug through some old computer files and found verification that it was 2004 when we did a survey. That was 17 years ago. And at the time, our specific prompt was looking at potential levy. So we were kind of assessing what the community, was thinking, so we could be prepared for that. So it was a little bit different, but I looked at the amounts, and I wish I could remember whether we did a 1,000 person sampling or a 2,000 person sampling, but my best estimate, without digging through bunches of paper financial records that aren't even on location here, Sarah's given me the evil eye, is that we probably spent between $5,000 and $6,000 altogether on that survey, because in those days, you didn't email everybody and you didn't put it on your website. You did a pre-postcard to let people know it was coming. You mailed things out. You put in a return envelope for, so there was a lot of those kinds of expenses. So if it helps any, when we did this before, it was, on the low side, it was probably $5,000 to actually do the survey. And Heather and Tanya were on the call with Holy Cow Consulting with me. So if they remember anything different, they can speak up about it. But I think the concept is still the same. You're out there surveying the community. They have questions that they ask. We're allowed to add questions. And they do, I think Harold had brought it up that they focus on voter roles to get their contact information. And you can see how they actually separate it out, but it's pretty much all electronic, but we could also do it in-house for the people who are entering our doors. We can take the survey that is made and have paper copies of it and run it right at our branches as well. So that's an option to get people other than just voters who would be library users. But so that's an option. And so you can see what the cost would be for both the survey of the community, and also there's a survey of staff to find out about, I think it was working conditions and boy, I'm blanking on what the staff assessment part of it was. The working environment, yes. And you can see that that's a very minor part of the cost if we go ahead and do that part as well. Regardless of whether we choose one of the two in front of us or whether we seek something else, I think the concept of doing both the public survey and assessing our staff is the time is right for this, because we have just come out of a really strange year. We've done a lot of restructuring. We are working in completely new ways and providing new and different services. And so this would be a really good benchmark, I think, for us, regardless of how we approach it. Orange Boy is a bit different in their approach. They are focused on a longer term commitment where they actually have a software system that they use. And we got a 1 hour demo of it, and we're asking a bunch of questions. Well, what if you do this? So we could see it kind of in action. It wasn't our data, but I believe it was Ohio, an Ohio-based library. I mean, there were several libraries, but you can click on a map and see where this particular branch is. Heavy users are actually where they live, and you can go down by census tract, and you can see who are the ones who are checking out kids' books, and you can see the ones who are downloading audiobooks. And so if you really want to get some insight into how your users are using the library, it's all right there electronically. Once you've pulled the data from whatever sources you're going to use, it's there, and it updates from your circulation system or any other place that you want to have data go into it. That's not going to meet our need for Georgetown's survey right now, but they do, if you looked in some of the other pages, they do a user survey, they do stakeholder interviews, and analysis, community focus groups. So, as I was looking at it, I thought, okay, so if we went with something like this, we would get a whole lot more than we need immediately, but it would last us longer term. But right now, we would probably use at most about 45% of what they have to offer, in figuring out the Georgetown thing. So when I looked at that, 3-year commitment, and I'm thinking 45-50% of it, you're talking about $11,000-ish in comparison to what we might, to make it as close to apples to apples with Holy Cow as I possibly could, since they both are doing slightly different things. So, here's what we've got for now. We have not presented this yet to the Cook Foundation because I really wanted to see what you all felt about this. The Holy Cow also can break things out by branch, because one of the questions we would ask is which branch do you go to most often, so you can see not only the whole system, you can see Georgetown stuff, but you can see all the other branches as well. So you're getting, some extra bang for your buck and not just surveying Georgetown while you're doing it. They would also do focus groups with us if we wanted them to. They would facilitate those. That would be an additional charge. Do you remember that? Because that's Holy Cows. It does not include that as a specific on-site thing, but they are willing to do it if they want. And my recollection is they were going, oh, we haven't been invited to do that at a library yet. So we might get a deal by being a guinea pig kind of thing is what I was thinking we could negotiate, but that's for later. Yeah.
When I first read the packet, I thought, oh, this is going to be an easy decision because, the bottom line cost is much less in Holy Cow. But when you read through Orange Boy thoroughly, you get so much more for your money. So now I'm in a quandary because I wanted to do the bottom line, but I also think we need to generate as much information as we can.
But that's a $25,000 commitment.
So
13 plus 6 plus 6.
correct. That's a $25,000 commitment for over 3 years.
Right,
That's
right,
correct.
covering 3
Yes,
years at
yes,
8,000 a
yes.
year. And is this something we want for 3 years? I mean, what's the benefit?
Well, I will tell you this. So while we were we actually had several video conference calls with the representative from Orange Boy. She very generous with her time, helping us to understand all of this. And I remember feeling completely overwhelmed by this, because we could see her dashboard. She had her live test data, whatever it was on it. And I'm just going, wait a minute, what's that? What's that? What's that? How would we possibly use all this? How could we, when you think about, we learned a locker system, brand new locker system, and managing that, we're doing all of these new electronic things. And when do we really get to the point where we are proficient with this and getting as much out of it as we should be getting out of it? I just have real concerns about our ability to get our money's worth out of the software system that Orange Boy has. That was my gut feeling. Tanya and Heather, you really need to weigh in.
Harold, I'll give you my opinion of it. And I am an information junkie. I will say that. I kind of was like, ooh, what can we do with this? When she went over her presentation with us. A lot of that information we can get through the census, through, I think we can get a lot of it through Blue Cloud Analytics. So we do have, an office administrator that can help us if we can kind of look at some of the reports that Orange Boy was running and showing, these are, things that the community is using and the patrons are using. I think we could probably get a lot of that. Granted, it's really nice to have it in one platform where we can just go, ooh,
Click,
yes,
click.
and select tracks, but timing wise, it's been a pretty crazy year. And it really, if you could see this platform, it was very overwhelming.
It was.
So why would you want to bring a 3-tier cake to a muffin party?
Why would you want to bring it there?
Tanya's and Lynn. I
And
think we were
I
all
don't
kind
have a
of like,
copyright on that, so if you want to.
Okay, so
I see it.
why would you want to bring a 3-tiered cake to a muffin party? Okay, I like that.
But it's true.
Okay,
Right.
that's,
We know what we are.
Yeah, the Orange Boy to me is only good if you saw possibilities that you wouldn't get through this, renewing this at the end.
Mhm.
And if you're, to me, if you're telling us that this is just so overwhelming that it would take years before you could really utilize it. It doesn't sound like it's that great a deal.
My thought process is you almost have to have a dedicated person
Right.
to use it.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, if we're paying this much for the product itself, and then we have to pay so much staff time on top of it to try to use the program, then it's not as useful as we want it to be.
Well, and I know that there are some large library systems that
Yeah.
use this,
Yeah.
you know, and they've got that kind of staff to do that. I know that we were also told there are also some small libraries that use it. But it is, I mean, the dashboard that we saw, I mean, that was one of my first, after the first session, and I talked to Tanya and Heather afterwards, and I said, was it just me, or was that not designed by a librarian to be user friendly and be able to pick out the thing? I mean, it didn't feel intuitive. Now I know it was new to me, and I know that I'm at that age in my life where it takes a while to, you know, to kind of go, okay, I get it now. But it feels like overkill especially for what we need right now. Maybe in the future, talk to me in 12 months, you know, and are we at a place where we should be doing something like this because we have restabilized and we're really moving along? Now that could very well be the thing that we do, but that's, Harold, you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a lot of good stuff, but I just know what my desk looks like now, and I know what Heather's desk looks like now. And I know that we're in the process of filling a couple of key positions, and I just can't, you know, we wouldn't be able to implement this in a timely way to get the information for Georgetown that we need sooner.
I vote for Holy Cow.
Yeah, I had one question.
Barb has a question.
Okay. On Holy Cows, they talk about pre-printed, pre-posted advanced postcards. But then a couple lines down, it talks about postage for shipping postcards, and I wasn't sure what the difference was.
So one's pre-printed, one's not?
That's what I was trying to say. What, I mean, are we talking like
Okay, so
having the postcards shipped to us as a bulk? Is that what they're not
they
anticipating, or-
actually, I believe what they said to us, and again, Heather and Tanya, you need to correct me if I am misspeaking this. What they said was that it is much more cost effective for them to run all the postcards and run them through their postal system and then mail them out, rather than providing them to us to label with labels from Board of Elections and stamp and process. So the postcards themselves are that first line. And then I think what that last line is that they don't know what the exact postage is going to be at this point. Is that what you all, Heather, you seem to, many remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And approximately how many postcards then were we looking at? Were we looking at just focusing on the Georgetown area?
I think what we said was we were going to do a sampling of all of them, weren't we? Yeah, we were going to do the entire library system, and then so we would have data for everything.
So they're going to be pulling names not from voter records, but from library records, or?
They're gonna be pulling the names from voter records.
From voter
We can
records.
also, in each branch, get postcards as well that will give a link to the questionnaire. The actual survey itself, what's it called when you click on, and you choose Georgetown as the library or area, and then they kind of have their own questions that we can kind of tailor
Yes.
towards the Georgetown project.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are standard questions about the library and what it offers and all of those kinds of things, but then we can do separate customized questions for each branch. So if we want, we could do them not just for Georgetown. If Sardinia and Fayetteville and Mount Orab wanted to do something at the same time, they could, and then based upon which library branch they clicked on, which survey they clicked on, they would get those questions. And then we can, as Heather said, that we would have the postcards with the links for people to do them. But we also had, I don't think I'm dreaming when I think we talked about the fact that we would also have some paper copies of each branch's questions on site for those people
Oh,
who just
I
are
think we did
not
that, yeah, we did that
ready
last time
for doing a survey online.
There are still, and
There
I'm sure
are-
there are many patrons
Yes.
who come because they don't have access
Access.
or don't want to have access.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that was our thought about how do we make sure that we are tapping into not only the voter rolls, which would get us both users and non-users, which is what you want, because some people who, and I'm trying to remember if they had to have voted in the last 3 general elections. I can't remember the exact parameters, but basically active voters, the people who are paying taxes usually, who want to have something to say about their communities. But those people often, that's not a very good word. There are parts of people on the voter rolls who may not be active library users, but are library supporters. And so you want their input as well about how that impacts their community. So I think between the voter rolls and what we would be handing out at our own branches, we would get, both an accurate, well, those people who are in here using the library, what do they really want, as well as the general public's thoughts about it.
So should we vote?
Well, my question is, is this something because the Cook Foundation did say that they would be, willing to help with this kind of thing? Do you want to think about a percentage or a maximum amount that you might be interested? I think about, in terms of our overall expenditures or our overall usage, Georgetown fluctuates between 25 and 30% of that, as being one of the busier branches. And so, if you're looking at letting the foundation cover Georgetown's cost and then the board cover for the rest of the branches or the system wide, you're talking anywhere from $5,200 to just about $5,600. And that would be anywhere covering that 70% to 75%.
Board covers
The
it.
board covering it.
So how?
Are you saying that the Holy Cow proposal only applies to Georgetown?
No, the survey would go to for all library branches, but the data will be able to be split out so we can see results by branch as well as system wide. And because of the project that we're, in the very beginning stages of right now with the potential remodeling and knowing that this is something that the funder really wants us to do, I think that it's fair to say that they can provide some of the financial support, which would be proportional to Georgetown's cost of it, roughly 25 to 30%. And then the board pick up the rest, which would cover the other branches.
I guess what I'm thinking is just looking the timeline, what they provide. And if you look at the cost for that timeline, maybe that's what Harold's thinking, because the world has changed.
Mhm.
I've witnessed that being on the school board.
Mhm.
It's people have changed.
Oh, yeah.
And so what you're getting here over a 3-year period is really less than what you're getting here for this timeline. Maybe that's what Harold is thinking, because he's been in education and in library.
And
Right, Harold?
I don't think you heard.
I didn't quite get all that you were saying.
Okay, I'm saying you've been involved in school, in education, and also as a
library director, yeah.
And that the world is changing, and I looked at what they're providing, like 3 days, 4 days from this, and and what that amount is. And then you look at Orange Boy, and over a 3-year period, they're providing more, maybe, at less cost. Is that what you're thinking, Harold?
Well, I think the bottom line question becomes, what is the staff able to use in a timely manner? And maybe the 3 years is too much for staff to deal with right now.
But the staff continually changes.
Well, the staff continually changes, but if we are trying to, if our immediate need is assessing the Georgetown community and that library and what's going on with it, to move forward with a plan for doing a construction project that will set us up for the next, well, I'd like to say 20 years, but I'm told by the contractors, yeah, you should only plan 10 years in advance. So, so we are looking at, but we are looking at from this snapshot. We're looking at it from where we are now. Well, and I think, Kathleen, I mean, you are correct that the Orange Boys system would give us data farther out, but it's not going to.
The few open school board meetings we've had with the public has changed dramatically to what. And I'm wondering, is it going to continue to get more? And this kind of action could also come into the library, It seems like there's things going on everywhere,
absolutely.
arguments.
And the main discussion is, is this something we do right now, or are we looking 3 years down the road? And if we have the capacity to handle Orange
I was
Boy.
just looking at some of the things they offer, understanding is what the public is lacking right now.
Yes. And Lynn had mentioned maybe 12 months from now, we look at Orange Boy.
For a
differently.
longer term,
Yeah.
yes.
Right, 'cause this is
but-
only a year, so.
But for right now,
This might look, the other one might look better once we get past
Right.
this.
But
one.
yes, yes.
and what are we able to
And maybe
handle
we
right
will
now? Was the
Get a
other
little
thing.
turnaround in
Mhm,
opinion.
So I'll get the party started. So
Okay.
I'm gonna open with $2,000, which is the 25-30% that Lynn had talked about from the Cook Foundation.
So you're saying that they would pay
2,000.
and then the board would
and then-
pick
and
up
we
the
would pick up
remainder.
the balance. That's what I'm gonna
Okay.
start the negotiations with.
Sounds good
So
to me.
2,000, and that's right in that,
Yes,
25 to 30%?
Mhm.
And that's a nice round number.
it is a,
That can be presented to the Cook Foundation. So what
I
does
wonder
everybody-
if the Cook Foundation might think, why isn't the board covering all of it if it's a system-wide tool?
Tanya or Heather, you have any thoughts on that based upon the fact that we've had conversations with the Cook board?
I think it would be good for them to see how the community overall is feeling towards the library and see, with the pandemic, where they want to see us go. But I also think it helps that we can tailor those questions for Georgetown to Georgetown. We can make, its own little assessment for the building project as part of this consulted fee contract.
And if they decline our request for whatever reason,
Mhm.
then I'm open to paying the full bill.
You guys remember when we had the open house? Was it 2013?
For 13 or 14, was it right after we passed the levy or was it before?
I think it was right after.
So it was,
After,
I
because
think it was
We
14.
weren't worried about promoting
Believe it or not.
that. And
Okay.
I had- Yeah, because I remember talking to Tim and that was done.
Okay, so 2014
About
roughly,
2014,
we did
Carol,
open
that was
houses.
The last time we really had any community input.
Yes.
And I think especially coming after 2020, that it's a great opportunity for us to try to see the pulse of our community. I like
Yes.
where they call this the pulse
Pulse,
or whatever.
yes.
Because it's really what we need to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, Kathleen, you mentioned being on other boards and seeing the response of the public and how people kind of are, or how they've changed, how people are behaving. And I think that reaching out to the public like this is one way to help with that, you know, that we really are interested in what they want and how they're feeling and how do we do business so that we can meet needs. So.
Just even the public, it's spread through the teaching staff.
Mhm, mhm. Well, and that's why I think it's really important that regardless of what we do, if we're going to do some community surveying, we also do some things with our staff as well, because they've been through a very rough year. It's been a challenge. So Mark, if I heard you right, what you would ideally like is that the Cook Foundation to put 2,000 towards this to cover the Georgetown specific part of the survey. The library board picks up the remainder of that to cover what we're doing for the rest of the branches and for the library system, but that you are willing, if there is some reason that they are not interested in putting money towards this, you are willing to do the whole amount.
That's what I'm proposing.
Is that what you're proposing? Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood that
Yes, Lynn,
correctly.
that was excellent.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
One thing that you mentioned early on, and we didn't talk about, are there other companies that do the same kind of work?
There probably are. These are the two that I have looked at to this point. You know, if that's the board's pleasure, I mean, we can go and search for additional, you know, companies that will do the work. These are the ones that we looked at.
I'm good with these two, unless
Yeah,
you guys
I
want to
do.
look at others.
As I remember, we had a good
It just delays getting the
feeling good
information and.
response from Holy Cow when we worked with them previously.
It
Yeah.
was, Holy Cow was a good firm to work with. Yes,
Yeah.
they were.
So, what do you guys think?
I'm in agreement.
So make that, are we making?
Are you
a
making-
motion
Do we have
or-
to make a motion on that?
Yeah, because that's a lot of money and I can't
you want that?
authorize that one on my
Am
own.
I allowed to do it as acting president?
There's nothing in our bylaws that says you can't,
Okay,
but if you want somebody else to make that motion that you,
Okay, then I want to make the motion that, we see if, Cook will cover the $2,000. And if they don't cover it, that we're willing to cover the entire amount to go with, Holy Cow. That's a motion.
all right.
Oh.
So Sue made that
Mark,
yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes,
Barb,
Yes.
and Kathleen.
All right, number 8, I need a motion to approve renewal of lease book contract with Baker and Taylor for 10 books per branch per month at $8,603.62, includes a 2% discount for payment within 60 days of the invoice for the period of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
I
And just-
move,
I second.
You're too slow, Lynn.
Okay, we're done.
Would you like to say
Fuzzy
something,
brain.
Karen?
Fuzzy brain.
Mark,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Harold,
yes,
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen.
So just an FYI that we have not changed any amounts of books or anything from last year. And the price increase was 0.83%.
That's ridiculous.
That's, yeah, so good deal there.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Number 9, motion to approve the renewal of Ohio plan for July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022 at a cost not to exceed $10,150.
But we can change that now that we actually have the quote if you want to. The renewal did come in after I sent out the packets. It came in at $9,282. And, that there were no significant new coverages that I noticed on. Of course, I had to fill out a 27-page questionnaire where you update all your information and all of that. And that is also a 0.8% increase from last year. Ohio plan is,
I like them.
yeah.
It's a nice option and setup, I think.
Yes, and we did in the last couple of months, we had our risk assessment review. I think I might have reported on that, where we had gone through everything and we're right on track with doing the things that they want us to do. So that was part of, the discount that we got from them. We got credit for having passed the risk management assessment and all, so.
Explain to me, maybe Mark can do this. There's a whole list of, or whole page of other insurance companies. Is that reinsuring or whatever the term is that would take care of certain specific items?
Harold, great question, and the answer is yes. So for example, we have equipment breakdown coverage, and there will be a different company that would handle that. Then you're going to have the main company that's going to handle the main type of insurance. And then if there's any other specialty insurance built within that, which we would have, you would have another company handling that. And then a lot of times insurance companies will list all their affiliates.
Great American? Is that a conflict of interest?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
I know. Okay, then let's go on to number
Did we
10,
finish that?
motion to.
Did we?
Oh,
Sorry,
oh, shoot,
Yep.
sorry.
No, that was my
Okay,
fault. I got you sidetracked.
I'll move that we renew the Ohio plan for the upcoming year for the amount of $9,282.
Mark,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Okay, now, number 10, motion to enter executive session to consider the employment of public employees.
I move.
I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Have a nice summer.
Harold,
Oh, come visit us.
Okay, I'll do that.
are they leaving?
Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
other Saturday, but you don't usually come.
We haven't picked on her enough yet.
Have you got the whole full vote yet?
No.
Did you get the full vote for going into
No,
executive?
I'm still-
She's trying.
Oh.
Harold,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
I'm missing somebody.
Did you get everyone?
Okay. 1:15.
Did you get me?
Sue,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, I am turning off recording.